Okay, it looks like it's still live. Yeah. I don't think the clipper's gonna work. I think I'm gonna move my, yeah, if you want to. I'm gonna move my chair over there because I have to stay connected. So you can click if you want me to have it. Yes, I'll sit here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alvin Drummond, and I am the chair for the City of South Fulton Planning and Zoning Commission, and we're going to call this meeting to order. So here's the Planning Commission statement. Today is Wednesday, March 23rd, 2022. This is an 8-member board panel appointed by the City of South Fulton Mayor and Council to hold public hearings to make recommendations on rezonings, use permits, and concurrent variances applications, comprehensive land use plan maps, and amendments to the zoning resolutions. Citizens may speak for or against zoning issues, and each side will have up to 10 minutes total to present its case. Tonight's virtual meeting, citizens may enter their comments and questions in the YouTube chat or email planning@cityofsouthfultonga.club. The Planning Commission's recommendations will be forwarded to the city's mayor and council for the final decisions of the next month's meeting. We'll proceed with the agenda as follows. We're asking staff, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Alvin Reynolds,
Present.
Mr. Rodney Hadley,
Present.
Mr. Keith Perry,
Present.
Reverend Shannon Jones,
Present.
Miss Rachel Williams, Miss Paulette Devon,
Present.
Miss Tamika Weatherly. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, staff. At this time, we will be viewing item number 3 on the agenda, which is approval of minutes, the regular meeting minutes of February 2022. Hoping all commission members have had a chance to review those minutes, and if so, we will entertain a motion to adopt those minutes. So, it's probably moved to second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, staff, would you call the vote, please?
Mr. Rodney Hadley,
Aye.
Mr. Keith Perry,
Aye.
Reverend Shannon Jones,
Aye.
Miss Paulette Devon.
Aye.
That motion passes.
Thank you, staff. Item number 4, old business. There are none listed. We're moving to the new business, item number 5. And the first item under new business, item number 5, is the swearing in the newly appointed commission members.
Our city clerk, Mr. Corey Adams, is here to do that for us today.
Good evening, everyone. Like Ms. Jackson said, my name is Corey Adams. I serve as the city clerk for the city of South Fulton. Glad to see you this evening for this in-person meeting. I'm here tonight to swear in our newest members to the Planning Commission, Mr. Keith Perry, as well as Ms. Paulette Devon. You can be sworn in where you're at. If you will please stand and raise your right hand. I'm going to ask you to repeat after me, and once we complete the oath, I will have you sign it, and you'll be formally and officially a member of the planning commission. Please, I state your name,
I, Keith Bird,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will truly
that I will truly
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of the planning commission board
as a member of the planning commission board
in all matters
and all
which require
which require my official
the best of my knowledge,
to the best of my knowledge
skill,
and skill.
Next slide, please. Okay, and then this is their site plan. We've worked really hard on it. It's gone through a couple different iterations. This site, you can see all of the different mixture of uses. You can see the entrances and some of the other things that were incorporated from the DRI also. And the applicant was able to send us some renderings. These are kind of older renderings that kind of show their vision for it and how the different parcels fit together. Next slide, please. This is a rendering that we got from the applicant for the multifamily part of the development. Next slide, please. And then here are some elevations that we have. You can see that they have different types of elevations so that each home isn't exactly the same, so that it has some depth and some character. Next slide, please. And then this is an example of one of the single family renderings. And I think that's the end of this one. Yep, and staff's recommendation is approval with staff condition. And so now we're going to open our public hearing. So as the chair mentioned earlier, and as noted on the agenda, we're going to have 10 minutes for the petition, 10 minutes against it. And so I'm going to get my timer and we're going to let the applicant speak first. Yep. Well, let's set the timer.
For the applicant to speak, we need to make a motion to open public comment.
Yes, I'm sorry.
We move in second any session. Hearing none, all roll, please.
Mr. Rodney Hadley,
Aye.
Mr. Keith Perry,
Aye.
Reverend Shannon Jones,
Aye.
Miss Paulette Devon.
Public comment is now open. Ready to hands up the petition.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Reynolds, and members of the Planning Commission. My name is, bring my mask down for this part. Yes. My name is Hakeem Hilliard with Hilliard Starkey Law. I'm here this evening on behalf of the applicant. I've got representatives of the company here, Hutch Development, Malik Karimi, Brady and Blake is with Wood Partners, and Chris Knight with Knight Homes, who's developed Wind Creek subdivision here in South Fulton, is going to be doing the single family portion of the project. I thought I would just walk you through. We've been at this for a long time. We want to thank everybody in the neighborhood in particular for their participation. We filed this application in March of last year. All the deferrals that have been before you all, you can imagine we spent 4 or 5 months before we appeared on your agenda for the first time. Ms. Jackson has been very patient with us because we've gone through maybe 20 iterations of this site plan and responding to concerns that came up over time. Sometimes we were changing the plan so much that she would hear from the community about plans that she hadn't seen yet. So she chastised us a little bit to make sure we kept up with her with all the changes we were making. So we appreciate her participation thus far. Just going to tell you a little bit about the site, then a little bit about the proposal, and a little bit about some of the conversations we've been having with the community and how we responded. And then we're here to answer questions. I forgot to mention that John Walker is here with Kimley Horn. Because of this project and its size, it required a review by the Atlanta Regional Commission. He's with a leading company, and I think in the state, Kimley Horn, that does these reviews and traffic studies, so he can answer any of your detailed questions about the traffic. Also, Charles Watley, he's with Urbanus, worked with him a long time in the public and private sector. He's one of the leading guys in economic impact, so he's a part of the team too. We're happy he's here. Just very briefly, this site is a 60-acre site. As Ms. Jackson stated, it's all located within the live work community. So this plan, which is a mixed-use plan, is completely consistent with the future land use plans for 2035 that were adopted by the city. There's 4 different components. Just a traditional land use planning plan. We start with the single family over here. We're projecting 75 single family homes here. When we started the plan, the original plan were about 45, I think 40 to 45 homes, larger lots, less homes. But what we heard from the community about those and the townhomes that we eventually added, because the townhomes weren't a part of the original plan, was that it would be appropriate to have not just housing options, but a diversity of housing options, so that really plan these homes to be, the single family in particular, to be smaller homes on smaller lots with smaller yards, low maintenance but high quality. So that if there are seniors or older people or other folks that live in this community for a long time that decide they might want to transition out of their home because it's enough demand, but they don't want to leave the community, we provide options for that. So that's what these single family homes are intended to accomplish. If you're familiar with the product in Wind Creek, it's that builder. The community said, hey, whatever you do, we want quality. So we went and found somebody that has demonstrated quality in this particular community. So that's what we're doing here. There's amenities that are planned for it. We're showing a swimming pool, the playground, but that's still being programmed. But we have areas for that to occur in that area. This area here in the middle is where the townhomes are proposed, traditional townhomes, attached townhomes that are going to be in this corridor right here and over here. This product here, as you step forward towards the road, is the multifamily in this area and here, proposing 288 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartment units. There was a lot of conversation about apartments and quality of apartments and your experience with apartments in this community. So the best thing we knew to do was to go get one of the leading Class A apartment providers, and not just the state, but in the region, Wood Partners. They have a track record that's beyond reproach. What they talked about is having a gated community with all the programming that you see in any Class A apartment, club rooms, swimming pools, business centers, on-site leasing, security, and all those things are going to occur on here. We're happy to talk to you about this plan, but we're really excited about having them as a partner because they talk a lot about the economics of it. We can get into detail on that. This area here in this pink, adjacent to Campbellton Road, is where we're proposing 137,000 square feet of retail. We're talking to a lot of different retail providers. We don't have tenants locked in because they're waiting for the zoning to occur. But what we did include, it's part of the staff recommendation. There's a list of uses that are in the mixed use zoning category that we're seeking that we've said are prohibited uses in our plan. So you're not going to see nightclubs, check cashing, and all the things that folks find offensive to be in the community. We're eliminating them as allowable uses in the area. One of the good things about mixed use for us is that when we talk about quality, and I think the Wood Partners folks said this, that it's important for them because they have to constantly re-rent those units. So they're selling not just their product, but the entire area to the community. So the quality of the commercial is important for them, and as well for the single family. And so that's one of the ways that this site is going to naturally ensure quality, and that quality continues. The other thing about the commercial piece, and if you're like me and you've been in this community for 4 decades or more, in this immediate community, you know that we fought hard for having services, quality restaurants, commercial, and housing in these areas. And one of the ways you get that in communities like ours is that you have density. Everybody that tells you that you want them to come. And, I have the pleasure of representing a lot of restaurants that are the kind of restaurants I think you want to see: Savvy Provision, Eclipse the Luna, Rosie's Diner. And everybody that we tell them to look at this site, they ask for the same question: how many people live in the immediate vicinity? And not just single family, how many people are in an apartment? What's there? And that's how we get the quality of commercial we want. We're planning to do sit-down restaurants, and we want that to be here. Before it to be successful, we need density. So that's how our plan was developed. And as I said, it's traditional land use planning. It goes from the least intensive to the most intensive as we move towards the street. It protects a single family. It's not like Camp Creek Marketplace. This came up a lot in our community conversations. We don't want to have that like that. It's hard. We don't want another Camp Creek Marketplace over here. This is not Camp Creek Marketplace. Again, if you were here 40 years ago, or even 30 years ago, when we were fighting just to get one restaurant here, we didn't care how it was planned. It said, put a restaurant in our community so we can have somewhere to go. And that's how Camp Creek Marketplace came about. They have a plan, but you don't have to go through the project to get to the residential unit in Camp Creek Marketplace. We got the commercial and then everything around it. And so this plan responds differently. And so, am I losing time?
Well, I wanted to ask staff how much time you have because you have 10
You're at
minutes.
7 minutes.
Okay, I'll go real quick, man. So as I said, this project is also the subject of the development of regional impact review. And so, led by John Walker and our team, he met with Atlanta Regional Commission and studied all the traffic impacts. internal circulation, immediately adjacent to our site, and regional. They say this project is important enough, so they want to study the traffic impact, how it impacts the entire area. John will tell you, if you ask him these questions, that he looked at these areas. Camp Creek Parkway does not allow any curb cuts because it's intended to be a parkway, so that it's a fast median roadway. Campbellton Road is a 2-lane road. That decision was made by this community, endorsed by this community 20 years ago, when it was when a widening down Campbellton Road was funded by GDOT and plans were created, and the community rejected it. They said that we don't want it because if we do it, if we don't keep 2 lanes, if we don't encourage things like what we're proposing here, is these roundabouts, then we're going to have 18-wheelers driving up and down Campbellton Road, and we don't want that. And so we want this, and we want mixed use. We want to be able to bring our services to us, and we want this type of product. Now, there's a problem that John uncovered during this process. When we heard the complaints about what's happening on Campbellton Road, John said, well, I talked to GDOT and we studied this, and there's a problem with the timing of the lights at Campbellton and Camp Creek Parkway. So he already worked with them and he's already addressed that. That's fixed. Now he's working with them because apparently they eliminated the 2 through lanes on Campbellton Road going across Camp Creek Parkway. GDOT couldn't explain to him why they're doing it. They're studying that issue now. So independent of what happens with this application, that's happening for the benefit of this community, and we're going to approve it right away, right now. So that problem is being addressed. These solutions with the roundabouts are proposed by GDOT. We had a proposal here. I'm just jumping around because I know I have to stop. This line right here is what is a stub for vehicular access to the Woodside Hills community. It's been there forever. And they said, and what GDOT always recommends is you do interparcel connectivity. The reason why you do that is if I can drive here, I'm not going to drive out of the street and create a traffic problem. Community said very strongly at the very beginning of this process, we don't want that. John said, this is GDOT's recommendation. I can't back them up, but because you want it, I'm going to go try. He went back to GDOT. Somehow he was able to convince them to eliminate the vehicular access requirement in exchange for a pedestrian access requirement. That's not our proposal. That's GDOT's requirement as a part of the ARC-DRI review process. What we're going to do, though, what we propose to the community is have some kind of restricted access here, because the community in Woodside doesn't want people coming through their community. It's an older community. It's been there a long time. They don't want it to change. They don't want that activity that's coming through there. We've agreed to a condition to in some way restrict access in a way that whatever we develop, it's got to look good for them. And we're going to give them the key. They get the key, they get to decide. If they don't want to ever let anybody go, it's their decision. But that's our proposal for that. Okay. Okay, thank you, I'm sorry. Well, our whole team is here to answer questions if you're ready. Thank you.
Right, this time staff, are there any comments from anyone here that is opposed to this development?
Mr. Chairman, we have 2 cards in opposition to the case at hand.
Are they here today?
There.
And at this time, you ask anyone for. Let's keep in mind that we have 10 minutes.
Yes, sir. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak before the commissioners about my concerns of the Z21005 multi-use development. I said I'm again, eventually it's going to be sold, so I really don't have, I guess I have some things that I'm concerned about. My name is Gloria Dixon, and I live in the Woodside Hills subdivision on Waters Road. We've had conversations with the developers and voiced our concerns about entering into our subdivision to gain access to their property. We have been told that there will not be an access from our subdivision to their property. I would like to request that this option be placed in writing. The development would never access Woodside Hills subdivision and the thoroughfare to their property. We've had other developers to build in our neighborhood and was told one fact, but they in turn did the opposite of what they promised Woodside Hills residents. We only have one entrance to our subdivision, and we don't need the amount of 200 cars plus passing through our subdivision. Also, the residents of Woodside Hills has expressed concern of traffic on already busy Campbellton, Reynolds, Wallace, and Camp Creek Parkway streets. I'm not sure what has been decided about the traffic in this area, but it's a concern of ours. Also, several of our residents are concerned about the gate that is proposed to be placed between our property and the new development. Some of our residences do not want a gate. I would like to request that the developer show us a drawn out plan of what the gate will look like or eliminate the gate altogether. It was also explained that the Woodside Hill residents will have only access to the gate. And also one other thing about the retail space, we have said before that we do not want any drive-through business in the neighborhood, upscale restaurants. We would appreciate the commissioners addressing these issues before approval is given to the developers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mabel Martin, 2445 Reynolds Road, Woodside Hills, the subdivision, District 1. I really didn't know what to put down, oppose or for, because there's some things that I'm for and there's some things that I'm against. I kind of go along with Ms. Dixon here. I'm opposed to the apartments, and I know that's your moneymaker. That is what I'm opposed to. The traffic is a concern for all of us. In fact, we can barely get out of Wallace Road to Hamilton. We can barely get out of Enum to Camp Creek. That's a real concern for us. Most of us are retirees now. We've been there 30, 40, and 50 years. So my oppose is to the apartments. Here it says shopping center. Do you mean the a shopping center or a restaurant? So I'm kind of confused on that. If you can explain that to me. The family homes and the townhouses, I'm for. Because who knows, I might have to go into something like that soon. So I'm for that. The bridge that connects, I'm for that. Because I think that would enhance our community. That's my opinion. If you show us, like I talked to you before, show us what you plan. When you say gate, everybody thinks gate and everybody has a different outlook of gate. Show us what you mean when you say gate. Show us the landscape. Show us the lighting. Show us what you're going to do for our community. Don't just say gate and leave it like that. Then I think maybe you'll be able to pull some of these people in. Okay, that's all I have to say. And thank you all for coming. And I appreciate your patience with all of us because I know we have taken you through. But bear with us because we know that changes are going to come. That's 62 acres back there and something is going to come. I worked with the zoning board when they were going to build a Kroger's there, which it didn't go through because they did not want to play with us or do any of the things that we wanted. So I appreciate you. And I hope the project goes, but think about us. Thank you.
Is there any other?
That's all.
All right. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to close public comment. The property moved in second. Any further discussion?
I just have one question. I didn't, Ms. Dixon mentioned, I think, did she say she did not want upscale restaurants?
I do want us there.
Did not want drive, I heard that, but I thought.
Do not want to put in writing that we do not want the thoroughfare.
Excuse me, so the commissioner can have a vote to close public comment and then I will take our questions. Can you call the roll vote, please?
Yes. Mr. Rodney Hagley.
Aye.
Mr. Keith Perry.
Aye.
Reverend Shannon Jones. Miss Paulette Devon.
Public comment is not closed. Let me say this. Now, were you wanting to speak?
They pretty much summed it up.
Well, the thing is, you didn't put a card. You
No,
didn't-
I did not.
You did not.
I did not.
Okay. This is Marissa. I would like to allow her to go ahead on and speak. I know they got a few more minutes left. Even
Okay.
though public comment is closed and she's here.
Should we make a motion to reopen public comment?
I will.
I move to reopen public comment.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Properly moved in second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Rodney Hagley.
Aye.
Mr. Keith Perry, Reverend Shannon Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Paulette Devon,
Sarah, how many minutes do they have left?
6.
6 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to hear me speak. My name is Grace Terrell McCoy, and I've been in Woodside Hill subdivision since 1973. It's a quiet, closed subdivision it was younger then, but now we're all senior citizens, over 50, I would say 90% of us are like seniors. They put a development in the back of the subdivision, which was nothing that we knew about until it all started being developed. But my comment is on the development here. This will be in my backyard. My question is, will this community be totally gated in? Totally gated in and no access except from driving from the streets. I'm opposed to a walkthrough because of the crimes, the killings, the strange people coming in, you finding bodies everywhere. So my objection would be for the gate. That's my only comment.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome. Was there anyone else who would like to speak concerning this case that was in opposition to it? All right. I'll entertain a motion to close public comment.
I move that public comment be closed.
Second. Probably moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, staff, can you call the roll call, please?
Mr. Rodney Hadley,
Aye.
Mr. Keith Perry,
Aye.
Reverend Shannon Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Paulette Devon.
Public comment is now closed, and at this time, there will be questions or comments coming from the commission.
Yeah, I wanted to get clarity, but you clarified. I thought you said that you didn't want us. to fix that. I thought I heard you say you don't want drive-through or upscale.
We definitely want upscale restaurant.
All right, I'm thanks.
You're welcome. Board recognizes Mr. Blunt.
I have a question for the investors or the attorney that's presented. I am deeply concerned about the amount of pupil enrollment that you're placing on the elementary, middle, and high school right there. And what have you spoken or had meetings or talked with them?
We didn't talk with the schools ourselves, but I know that the city asked for comments from the school district as a part of this rezoning request to study the impact on schools. I mean, I think we talked about the apartments and this is really being designed, particularly the single family home and the townhome product, not for families necessarily. I think that, and I think.
I may be able to speak
I'm sorry.
a little bit. So this mixed use development will most likely, because of the different uses, the retail, will most likely attract young professionals that are renters by choice. So typically, these units attract those type of renters. So it will not typically be geared to families.
Okay, so, one of my concern is just the mixed use, the apartments and the single family homes. And that particular, putting this entire structure in that area. So, but you've already talked about it. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Board Chair recognized Vice Chair Rodney Hatton.
I have two questions. The first, I think traffic is probably on the biggest challenge. To the timing of traffic lights.
Well, we already did, and once we understood the very specific concern about that intersection, Mr. Walker, because he was already engaged with GDOT on it, he asked them to look and see what the issue was there. And he discovered that the timing was off, that the light was.
Too much time in Camp Creek, not enough time.
Yeah.
So they had to adjust it.
And then why don't you just talk about what you did in response to that?
Yeah, okay, so John Walker, traffic engineer, King Memorial. So at that signalized intersection, we call it the signal was not optimized. the timing was not optimized. It was giving not enough green to Hamilton, and it was backing Hamilton past Reynolds. This is our proposed new roundabout. New roundabout, those server, but traffic would queue back beyond this location.
That's a new roundabout there.
This is gonna be a brand new roundabout. So yeah, north would be this way. So this is Camp Creek Parkway, Hamilton. This is existing Reynolds today that tees in. So this is Reynolds. And we're gonna line a line across from Reynolds with a new roundabout. This is a GDOT state route. So it's a Georgia DOT state route permit. And roundabout is the preferred intersection at this location. But at this location, they had to adjust the timing of the lights to give one side more green or less green, okay? The other thing that he spoke to that's important, that really is gonna make a difference, is this intersection, years ago, let's say maybe 10 years ago, there used to be 2 through lanes that went across Hamilton, and there used to be 2 through lanes coming back this way. But I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, they took one of those lanes away. And that's a problem, because that's half the capacity. Okay, so GDOT is now restudying it. They're trying to figure out, okay, first off, why did we do that? Because it really doesn't make sense. So they're studying going back and repurposing those lanes. So there's 2 through lanes across the intersection, 2 through lanes back, just like it was before. The other thing is if you're northbound on Camp Creek and you want to turn left, there's a single left turn lane. So Camp Creek to Hamilton, there's single left turn lane. They're looking at providing dual left turn lanes. So they're looking at adding lanes to the intersection to add capacity, to be able to process more vehicles, to eliminate that queuing. And the concern, it was a legitimate concern. When they raised it, it was like, oh my gosh. So that's being GDOT's, that's a GDOT led project. Okay.
Some type of certainty if they're gonna do that or not would help a lot.
Okay, sure. Okay. We can get a letter from GDOT if you'd like. I mean, I know they're studying it and I know that they know what solution. It always comes down to timing, right? Timing of when is that improvement going to be physically on the ground. So I don't know that I have that date tonight, but I can say with certainty they are studying it. Definitely. And just,
Well, I would say this, if that is not done, it would be a big burden on you.
it would be a big burden. Yes, agreed.
A lot of people would not be on it.
It would, because, you know, 1 lane versus 2. I mean, obviously 2, that's double, right? That's double the capacity across that intersection. I couldn't agree with you more. Agree. Now, one thing that we are responsible for is if you're on Hamilton and you want to turn left on the Camp Creek Parkway, that's the signal. So you're at the signal. We have to extend that left turn storage. We have to widen the road to add more stacking for the left turn lane. That's on us to do. And that's one of the conditions. It'll come back to almost right here. And then this is single lane roundabout that we have to build. And there's what's called a slip right. So there's a single lane roundabout, but if you're coming this direction and you want to turn right into the site, there'll be kind of like a detached right turn. So you don't have to circulate through the roundabout.
John, he's asking how are we taking some of our property to accomplish that left turn?
Yeah, there'll be some roadway widening, sure, to create more left turn stacking. And there's enough right of way out there to lengthen that left turn and widen the road. Yes.
Another question. It was shared that DOT determined that it had some type of right of way, if not access by vehicle, and some type of walking that was determined by DOT.
So I will just spend 1 minute. When we first started this project over a year ago, anytime you have a project like this, you want to have vehicular and pedestrian connectivity, north, south, east, west. So we looked at, can we get to Camp Creek? Okay, this is Reynolds. Right over here is Reynolds here. There's Reynolds here that stubs. And that says, wow, there's Reynolds there, there's Reynolds here. Let's connect them. Let's connect them. And let's connect to this side. Let's connect to Roundabout. Connectivity is a great thing. Make a grid, connect it all up. We can't connect to Camp Creek Parkway because limited access. It's not like an expressway, freeway. You can't have a driveway. No driveway there. Neighborhood said, we're not gonna connect down Reynolds. Nope, not gonna do it. Fern Valley, not gonna do it. Don't wanna do it. Only thing we got left is Hamilton, right? And we have 2 driveways, Roundabout and this one. After all the year, we're left with, well, we at least want the pedestrian connection. If we're not gonna get a vehicular here, we're not gonna get a vehicular there, we're not gonna get a vehicular there, at least give us a pedestrian there. That's where we landed. That was not our call. That was not our call.
Is that a requirement project?
Yes, it is.
Are you able to put something in writing because the residents requested to say that there will not be a federal way through?
Sure, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think.
No vehicular connection, put it in writing.
And I think they can have some say in kind of what the design is. and-
I just wanted it in writing.
Yeah,
We can do that.
We've added a condition about the restriction to pedestrian already, we volunteered that in writing, but I think there's another concern about what that access is. It's not gonna be a gate, what it's gonna look like. And I think you can have we can say in there that the community can have some role in evaluating whatever the plan is, so they can have, because it's, can make it look good from a community standpoint. So
I recognize Mr. Perry.
I just got a couple of questions. It's gonna deal with density of traffic. So, with the single family homes and the townhomes, what is your estimate of the amount of bodies that will occupy those spaces?
Well, I can do my best to speak to the single family and the townhome. So on the single family, we have 74 lots, and the townhomes, we have 58 units. We're typically seeing these as first-time home buyers, so about 2 people on average, we would say. And then for the multifamily, did you ask about density there?
Yeah.
So there's 288 units on the multifamily. We're programming right now approximately 151 bedrooms, about 100 2 bedrooms, and then a little less than 33 bedrooms.
So with that kind of layout, what you probably get is family in the 3 bedrooms, and just like you said, the 1 and 2 bedrooms are probably younger professionals, but that's a more transient community that's gonna be there. But with that in play, what is your estimate of the amount of traffic you're gonna get in your retail spaces?
I don't know.
We have projections for the BRI.
Yeah, I was gonna say, one thing about traffic, because that's gonna come up. Anytime we do traffic studies, we're encouraged to do mixed use, having both residential and non-residential. In the residential, different residential types, and on the non-residential, restaurants and retail. Because you want to capture, the phrase live, work, play. You want to have that node to be able to, if you live there, you just walk over to a restaurant and come back. So that is what we call internal capture. And this type of development has a very high internal capture because of the type of uses, different uses, residential and non-residential. Is there going to be some traffic hitting the external network? Yes, absolutely. But the point is, being able to contain a lot of that on the site as much as you can is always an advantage. In this case, there will be restaurants and there will be retail shops. I don't know the mix. But restaurants generally generate a little bit more traffic than say just your standard retail. But at the same time, a lot of those restaurants will be serving this community as well. So there's a kind of a positive trade-off, I guess you could say. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, I have the mix actually. So we're projecting 91,400 square feet of shopping space, 10,000 square feet of quality restaurants, 10,000 square feet of high turnover sit-down restaurants would be like, like a Marlowe's Tavern. We're projecting 7,200 square feet of quick service drive-through restaurants as well as 2,200 square feet for coffee and donut shop.
Did you just say drive-through restaurants?
Yes.
You didn't mention that before.
What we did was we agreed to reduce that amount of drive-through. So
You guys change on us all the time.
So you got 7,000 square feet of drive-through restaurants, that's probably like 7 drive-through restaurants. And I understand, changing the structure of Campbellton back to the way it was, that's great. But there was still traffic even when it was a 2-lane throughway. So you're talking about a lot of transient traffic going in and out to those drive-through restaurants, coming back to school. I really just don't see how one turnabout is going to be sufficient to have traffic alleviated at that point. And that's a major throughway, right? There's a lot of people coming from Campbellton to get to Camp Creek or cross over, and you're going to have a flood of cars coming to this one location. I just don't see how one roundabout and one turnoff lane is going to be sufficient for that amount of traffic. And you got a roundabout further down here, what I can see is just constant congestion coming right here, people just stuck here.
If I may, on the fast food, the average fast food restaurant's about 2,500 to 3,500 square feet. So we'd be looking at a total of maybe 2 drive-through standalones and maybe 1 or 2, end cap drive-throughs such as a Starbucks in a strip center. But I'll let John speak about the roundabout.
So there is actually another curb cut, and that's here. So not all the traffic is gonna go through this. These out parcels or retail or restaurant, whatever. This is a standard intersection with turn lanes, left turn lane, right turn lane, that's here. So it's not just this point, but it's this one. The good thing about the roundabout, yes.
Is that before Wallace?
Yeah, Wallace is just off the page here.
Is there a light proposed there?
No. No. So what we love about roundabouts is you have to slow the traffic, right? It slows it's really not. And the other thing, if you live on the other side, if you live on Reynolds, once you get into the roundabout, you have the right of way. Okay, right? So but as you drive, as you're getting into the roundabout, you have to yield to the people already in the roundabout. One of the concerns we heard is people that want to make a left turn out of Reynolds. It's hard to make a left turn out of there. Well, all you have to do is yield to this one direction. And then once you get into the roundabout, you actually have the right of way over people on Campbell to come the other way. So really, you're going to have right of way over some of the people coming this direction on Campbell. It's really, roundabouts are great and it slows the traffic. And it makes it a lot easier for side streets to get into the flow and make the turning movements.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Jones, you had something?
Yes, Chairman Reynolds, I think again, I guess to answer Attorney Hillary, just let's talk about this pink area. We got 2 fast food restaurants. What's gonna be here? What are we looking at? The reason why we don't, you don't know exactly, but just, you wouldn't put 2 fast food restaurants in Beverly Hills. Well, so there's a couple of answers to that, right? We're in the now hopefully post-COVID world, right? So when we talk about fast food, not get out of your car service, I don't think anybody, if you think about that, wants to totally eliminate the opportunity to be able to purchase food without getting out of your car and going into another establishment. That's one thing. Now, when we talk about quality of fast food and how many fast food, I think we can talk about that. I think we should. I think you're right. And I think really what you're saying is we don't want you to say we're bringing restaurants and it's all fast food and all these sit down restaurants you said you were going to bring, you're not going to do. That's really what happens. And I can tell you who we're talking to. I represent a restaurant called Luna. He wants to come. We talked to Rosie's, you all are probably familiar with Rosie's already. It's already at East Point. They want to come. We've been talking about real restaurants, Savvy Provisions, a boutique grocer. They're all asking the same questions. What's the density? Where is there a congregation of density that will support our product here? And so we're talking about that, and we're trying to get that type of restaurant in. To try to answer the question about what's going to be there, though, what we've tried to do is answer it in the opposite. What's not going to be there. And so we came up with a list of conditions that are in the staff report. It's like 20 to 30 different things we've got on that list that are permitted if we get it rezoned and mixed, that we're saying we're absolutely can't do by zone. It's going to be attached to the property. It can't be done under any circumstances. Nobody wants nightclubs. Nobody wants liquor stores there. Nobody wants pawn shops or check cash facilities, things like that. If the fast food, I don't think we take that. I'm sorry if you interpreted that we changed on that. I think that this type of development to support it, that's why you always see some version of that. And I agree that sometimes there's too many, or sometimes that's all there is. But I think that there's a creative way to do it, to maybe get 1 or 2 in there that support the overall site, if you all feel that way, and then talk about what they're going to be. This is a planned community that you all have an opportunity to weigh in on every aspect of it.
Are you aware they're building a Popeyes?
Right, we need all comments and questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, I'll point it toward the poll. I just have a couple of questions. What separates 2, 3 different multi-uses?
So if you look up closer here, you will see that each has a gate denoted by a bolded black line. Right here, right here, right here, and right here. So I think you have questions about the gates, and if you come up, yeah, they're located in those
You're talking about just the apartments. We're talking about just apartments. We're also gonna have some type of gate around the entire site.
Yeah, the property line where Woodside Hills is located, we've agreed to fence that off. So the comment prior was asking about some sort of barriers, we've agreed to that. So that's labeled right here throughout.
And what type of fence?
We're open to what the community wants.
So the amenity area. Like that's going to be a shared amenity area?
There's an amenity area solely for the apartments. There's an amenity area for the single family. We didn't mention, because I was talking too long, because there's a lot of wetlands in here and usable open space, we have trails that are contemplated to go through here and returning detention ponds into water features so that it can be an amenity for the site just because it's unusable. So you see these nodes, they call them activity, you guys call them activity nodes, and stop. But the dotted lines are trails that they'll create so that you can walk through there if you're walking your dog, things like that. So
There is no amenity for the town.
The townhomes have the shared.
No one is the shared amenity.
Yes.
So they're all we're thinking the for sale product would share that.
You opened up and said that initially you were doing 45 homes, but then you moved to 75.
We, at the request of the, well, the first 2 or 3 meetings we had, we were talking about minimum 2,500 square foot homes, larger homes, and with on fewer lots. So then we doubled the lot size and made a smaller home because what we were hearing is that the desire and from the community would be to have a diversity of housing options for those folks that want to transition out. My mother lives in a 3,000 square foot home by herself. She's 85. And if she could move across the street into a townhome that was a third of that size, I feel better. She might not like it, but it'd be better for us. She'd have to maintain it.
So just building a 3,000 square foot home on that site, so 45. Do you not think that people, with younger folks would want that type of home?
We think that they would want either because Knight Homes is building it, is A class and everybody on
They
big
would
level.
want height.
We think in terms of the single family product, larger or smaller, we think that there's a market for either. Wind Creek proves it. We just kind of did that in response to what the community asked us to do.
Yeah, and I said that because there's a lot of times it comes across like if you have to just condense,
Oh, yeah, I see.
and I don't think that that's always the case. But be that as it may. Commissioners, are there any other questions from you guys?
Yes, I know you said as far as the walking trails, that was something that you would probably do, was proposed. Is it any, can you give us an agreement that you would do that?
Oh, yeah, everything you see on this plan is, we're gonna ask that it be adopted as condition of zoning, so the layout is gonna be subject to anything that changes between now and the decision. But these trails are already contemplated on this plan, so they're gonna have to be there. And it's this dotted line that follows on this side and the top here.
One last question.
Yes.
Before we close, please. Before we wrap this up. You want to connect it, we're not connecting with vehicles, but we're connecting with pedestrians. So I'm hearing that the community, and correct me if I'm wrong, is not in favor of that connectivity, pedestrian parking, right?
Exactly.
What you're saying is ZDOT is requiring that it has to be something there.
Right. And
So with that being said, that means that that development can cross over into her development and nothing we can do about it.
well, so we're saying that, so it was a concession and I don't know how he did it because he went back to GDOT and got them to agree. We didn't think they were gonna agree to when they could be vehicular connection, but we knew we had to do something because everybody was upset about that. This was a concession on GDOT's part. What we said as a middle ground to try to accommodate the community is to try to create some type of, we build it to satisfy them, but then we restrict it with the control going to Woodside Hills about who comes and goes.
Is that still acceptable to DOT?
Well, yes.
But you guys understand the concern of the community about that.
1,000%. We don't want it
So
either.
one thing I have to say that development, developing, you're the, and the community has to deal with the fallout.
So we asked to make it a condition of zoning that goes with the land and it's always gonna be there. The only issue outstanding, and I think it's an important issue, and I'm sorry we didn't think about it before you brought it to my attention tonight, is what's that gonna look like? And we're gonna let them help us decide what that looks like, and we'll make that a condition so that there's no confusion. Nothing gets built until you all, Woodside Hill says, this is what we want to look like. And then we're gonna hand you the key, and we're gonna walk away.
We'll walk away. Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, one question. Could we see the conditions? Staff conditions, do we have those?
Yes, I sent them to you in your staff report. I can unplug my laptop and put them,
Well, you don't have them.
so they're on my desktop.
Okay.
Is that what you want me to do?
I think it'd be nice for everybody to see the show.
I can do that. So. Thank you.
Sure.
Is in one of these folders.
Oh, is it already on?
No. It says. There we go. Nope, that's not it. Okay, so here are the conditions that we're proposing. And they start here. It says the following commercial uses shall,
15, Melissa.
excuse me?
What page is that? 16.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here are here's an overview of the conditions that we had in the staff report. We took the conditions that we got from the developer and tried our best to match them with uses that were actually in our zoning code. And so these are kind of for you all to review. Let us know if there are any questions you have that we can answer for you.
Commissioner, I still don't see anything about not coming to Woodside Hills.
You guys talk about that.
So I think she's mentioning the traffic conditions. And those are actually a little bit further down.
About the next page.
Yeah, so these are the conditions in the DRI that was provided to us on page 17.
She's concerned about
I see it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and it does say no inter-parcel vehicular access shall be provided.
Okay.
I can answer.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm back on how this particular structure is going to impact the community. And my, I guess that my point was the schools. And you're saying that what type of residents you're looking for when you build this particular structure. But that's not necessarily so, because you have an apartment complex and townhouses. So how are these school buses getting in?
All right, let's check this down, but the actual roadways not only
How do I
need
get
to
back to the
have
PowerPoint?
ample room for school buses, but also fire trucks.
Right.
So it does have room for fire truck access and school buses.
Yeah, as part of, assuming this property zone is a part of the permitting process, there's gonna have to be turning radiuses and all those issues have to be studied before they'll permit the development project. So they'll answer the question, make sure that school buses, emergency vehicles can get through there and turn around without having to back up and press them to get out.
Yeah, and these streets are international fire codes, they're 26 feet wide. So you can get emergency traffic freedom.
Cleaning it up, the roundabout, and going into that community, that development. Is that another roundabout there? What is it?
I'm sorry, point me to where you're
Go to
talking.
the roundabout, you're right.
This,
What's that? What is that?
yes, sir, that is.
That's
correct.
a roundabout.
Yes, sir.
Which is it?
Well, the one that's talking about
The one
is,
This is
right
going
on about to-
That's one on Kensington and then one.
Where is driveway C?
I believe driveway C was here, but it's just pedestrian access.
So it reads in the condition, install a pedestrian connection between the BRI and neighborhood located southeast of the BRI. Driveway C is approved to connect to Vern Valley. Connection shall be a sidewalk along driveway C. connecting the BRI from Vern Valley.
Right.
Correct. Is that not saying a drive and a pedestrian?
No, there's no vehicular access.
Yeah, it is confusing. They call them the driveway, it's pedestrian access.
We can change the conditions so that there's more clarity.
Yeah, correct.
No, that's not.
You know what?
Well, it's kind of what Ms. Walker said, when they do, anytime there's a side, the development of this size, they try to encourage or make interparcel connections happen. So if you have commercial, if the folks at Woodside Hills wanted that connection, they would not have to go out onto Campbellton Road, where everybody's talking about traffic. They can just go internal to the site and get there. So that's a traffic mitigation solution, you know, if everybody accepts it, but they have other considerations because they don't want that traffic coming through their communities. We're still surprised that they agreed to eliminate the vehicular. Because we had to get it done.
Thank you. Next time we're entertaining a motion on this case.
Commissioner Hadley, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval with staff conditions and additional conditions to include DOT's report and commitment to traffic light timing at Camp Creek and Hamilton. The addition of lanes, including 2 going through Camp Creek, going through that intersection, 2 through lanes going through that intersection. And to include a written agreement that there will be no vehicular access. I'd like for that to be a little clearer in the conditions. Also to include in the conditions that the residents be involved in developing the gate or what the entrance is to look like. And also be involved in developing or deciding how the dividing gate will separate the community, the existing community to the new development. And also to improve the conditions that trails, this should be put in the trails more developed.
There's a second, been properly moved to second. Any further discussion?
So I think there are some things that really concern me. I think just the point you were making about the density of the homes. And I think reducing the size of single family homes is a plus for them because it gives added density for the project, but I don't think it's a plus for us as a neighborhood, especially since you have added apartments and townhomes to, I think, a large size homes would be preferred. With all that being said, though, I think somebody said it in their comments that something's going to come there. And one of the things I do like about your presentation is you have consistently worked with the community and been more than willing to include these changes in writing. And I think that stands, that's important. And so I plan to support this project based on the motion that you made with those concerns in mind.
Motion has been properly moved to second. Staff, can you call the roll vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Rodney Hadley,
Aye.
Mr. Keith Perry,
Aye.
Reverend Shannon Jones,
Aye.
Ms. Paulette Devon.
Aye.
That motion passes.
Thank you, staff. Next item on the agenda is
Thank you.
case C21-015.
Yes, so this is a case that we've seen before that was previously deferred. It's a rezoning from AG1 and C1.
Excuse me, staff, one quick second. Gentlemen, can you guys talk about that outside? Thank you. Sorry about that, staff.
Okay. So this is one that was deferred from last month. Staff recommendation is approval with staff condition. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is a point we have to make on this one? I received correspondence from the applicant that since we last heard this, the number of units was reduced from 95 to 85 units. They're rezoning from AG1 and C1 to R5 to develop single family homes. And it is in compliance with the future land use. We'll go into that a little bit more on our next slide again. Okay, so this is kind of where it is. So you can see Old National on the west, and this site is actually on the eastern edge of our city. It's at the intersection of Bethsaida Road and Bethsaida Drive, and it includes an assemblage of multiple parcels. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is what is currently zoned. You can see it's zoned AG1. The C1 corner was basically someone got that rezoned so they could have like a wood shop in their backyard. So that's where the awkward C1 goes. But it was like an accessory to a single family home many years ago. And then this is the old future land use map. You can see that a majority of it is in the suburban neighborhood to future land use. And then on this side is community live work. So next slide. And then here is the updated future land use map. You can see that since we didn't divide parcels on the new map, the entire property is located in suburban 2 neighborhood. This is an overview of the site plan. It includes an entrance on Bethsaida Road, an entrance on Bethsaida Drive, 85 single family homes, 2 pocket parks. And it also includes a walking trail that goes through the property adjacent to some of the stream buffers. And the applicant was able to give us a few of their elevations. There are some conditions in your staff report concerning elevations, and staff recommendation is approval with staff condition.
Thank you, staff. At this time, we will entertain a motion for open public comment.
I move that we open up public comment.
Second.
Probably move to second, any discussion? Hearing none, staff, please call the roll, vote, please.
Yes. Mr. Rodney Hadley.
Aye.
Mr. Keith Perry.
Aye.
Reverend Shannon Jones.
Aye.
Miss Paulette DeLon.
Aye.
And I will turn on my timer.
Public comment is now open, and we will be on the petition at this time.
Good evening, Michelle Battle with Battle Law. You're representing the applicant, Thomas Houston, as the.
I'm so sorry. She has a PowerPoint down here.
Oh, it's on.
Yeah, that one.
This one?
Yeah.
One second, my time.
No, I'm sorry.
First, done a great job of describing the project to you all, so I'll try not to be redundant.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
With regards to the site plan, again, we've got 45.98 acres of a fairly challenging site in terms of some of the environmental components on the site. We've got 85 lots at a density of 1.85 units per acre, which is actually quite low in comparison to what is allowed in the suburban 2 district. Our minimum lot size is 7,500 square feet with a minimum lot width of 60 feet. When we look at the site plan, and we see here we're on both Bethsaida Road and Bethsaida Drive, and we're immediately north of the Lake Royal community. And as indicated, we are east of the Old National Corridor. We also sit right behind the Church Christians for Change, which sits at the corner of Bethsaida and Bethsaida Road and Bethsaida Drive. Throughout the community, we can see that there's a meandering of the stream that's located, it kind of V-shapes itself around the site. When you come in off the entrance on proposed entrance on Bethsaida, there'll be a monument sign there along with landscaping at the front entrance of the community. Based on the site plan, we will be installing and required to expand the right-of-way, which is 80-foot right-of-way requirement. We will have a dedicated left turn lane in and a dedicated right turn decel lane into the community. When you come into the community, you'll also see that we have the mail kiosk down at the first intersection. Across from there, we actually had some discussion after the community meeting that we had this past weekend. We're going to not do the charging station that is proposed. Instead, we're going to, we believe that we are better suited to have all of the charging for potential electric cars within the garages of each of the units. And so there will be a condition that we're offering for a 240 volt plug that will allow for electric charging of cars in each one of the homes. And right off of there, you've got a putting green and an outdoor racquetball court, which does exist. We had some conversation about that, but you can do outdoor racquetball courts. And we wanted that to be more of an adult play area that will be located on the site. You then continue into the site, cross over the stream. As we move down, there's another pocket park, a mail kiosk, some open space, and then we move towards the Bethsaida Drive side where we have to cross the creek again. And there's another couple of open spaces, pocket parks on that side as well. We do have the walking trail that will be located within the community. We talked about fencing as well as some of the open space and preservation of the stream buffer along with the impervious setback. We are not encroaching and we're not asking for any variances from that. We can go to the next slide. This land developer has actually been working with DRB. And they're clearly very popular and enjoy the city of South Fulton. They are looking at this project as well. These are elevations from them. We've got all brick fronts with either brick or stone that you can see here. These units, this particular one is roughly 3,000 square, a little over 3,000 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, 3-car garage on this particular home layout. We'll go to the next slide. You can see here another detail, another full brick stone front. This one's 2760 in square footage, 2-story, similar, but a little different flavor, 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bath, 2-car. And then we have another elevation offered, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage at 2,680 square feet. That's the last slide here. In terms of what is being proposed, again, brick and stone facades, fiber cement siding, 25-year weatherwood shingles, energy efficiency vinyl windows. Unit sizes are between 2680 and 3155, which is actually larger than the homes in the immediately adjacent community. The number of bedrooms are between 4 and 5. We do have garages, and yes, they are both 2- and 3-car garages. We do have the walking trail along with our starting price point actually has risen based on discussions with DRB. They're looking in the mid 300s and up on this project. We do anticipate it would take roughly 12 months to finish the development, and 6 months after that, I mean, taking care of the land development permit and installing the infrastructure. And then 6 months after that, we will be looking at the first homes being available. These will primarily be marketed to those who are transitioning from renting, new metro Atlanta area residents. And a couple of things came out of the community meeting that we had, and we wanted to offer up to the community. Number one, obviously we have reduced the total density from 95 units to 85 units. One thing we would like to offer is that the brick fronts and stone fronts that you all saw, that 90% would be brick and stone with some other, can be a minimum, 90% brick and stone with fiber cementation accents as shown. The side and rear facades will include a 4-foot brick or stone water table. That's something that we have added since the discussion. We wanted to make sure that the community understood that we are looking to build a quality product on this site, and wanted to add something a little additional in order to raise the quality and level of the facades on the side on the building. Additionally, all of the residents will be offered 3- and 4-sided brick homes. So if you want to do a 3- or 4-sided brick home, you can do that. But all of the homes again will have all brick or stone fronts, 90% with any fiber cementatious added materials. Sides will be fiber, basically hardy plank with a 4-foot water table on the property. There will be a mandatory homeowner association that will maintain all the common areas. The interior finishes will include granite countertops, fireplaces, dining rooms with comfort ceilings, LTV flooring with hardwood floors is an optional upgrade. Each garage will come equipped with a minimum of one 240-volt AC plug to accommodate electric vehicle charging. And side entry garages will be used on our corner lots and on lots in excess of 9,000 square feet that have the appropriate turning radius. So those are things that we wanted to add to, and I'll make sure that staff gets those additional conditions that we are willing to impose upon ourselves, again, as a way of ensuring that we are going to deliver what we say we're going to deliver. With that, we are here to answer any questions that you may have, and we thank you for your time.
How many minutes do you have left?
You have 2 minutes left.
2 minutes. Are there any more here or any comments, questions for this development?
Mr. Chairman, there are no more cards for speaking in favor of the case.
All right, thank you. Are there any cards? Anyone here speaking opposed?
Yes, we've got 1 card speaking in opposition.
All right. You hear that person now?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And our commissioners. This location at all of South Fulton has just suffered from not only the land use plan,
for the interpretation of what the units on this side of the city are. You know, when you have a school that you wouldn't expect to be about anything or have low scores, it takes like a star student to come out of that school to make anybody notice. My thing here that I appreciate, and I think that there are a lot of good things with this proposal, there are some additional things that need to come about. Staff and the council has that so you can follow along. We're requesting that 47% or 40 homes will be constructed of 3 or 4-sided full masonry, brick or stone. I don't mean an offering if somebody wants it. You have to be deliberate about that, because those spec homes are going to make sure that you've got diversity on both sides, some that don't and some that do. That is extremely fair, because that means that 45 of the homes can just have the single brick front and the water table brick. 25% of the homes, or 21 houses, should have side or rear entry garages. That adds value. When your home has a foyer, it's worth more than a similar home that does not have a foyer. When you have a side or rear entry garage, the home has more value than that of one that doesn't. 21 homes out of 85, that's not a big pitch. Requesting that all kitchens, bathrooms, laundry, and mud rooms have stone countertops and hard tile floors. You can look behind you in here, you know, you've got a counter for Micah. That's okay. It's a revamp of a warehouse that they made into an office. Having a home shows value, that when you go back and look in the magazine and you see these types of things, that's what making someone come to the community. We request that all first level floors have hardwood flooring, with the exception of the kitchen, bathroom, and laundry and mud rooms. I've seen on TV when realtors take these videos, first thing they say, whoa, you got all these beautiful hardwood floors here. That's what adds value to the community. And the problem is that because we don't exemplify value, we don't get the kind of residents in this area that show diversity. We're also requesting that all homes have floor and ceiling molding throughout all finished areas of the house. And we're also requesting that all houses have a patio or a deck at a minimum. The problem is that when we get residents that move from West Coast California or from New York that have money, they never come to this side of town because there's nothing here that is appropriate for them to have residents here. That's the lack of diversity, and that has got to stop. We're talking to be deliberate about what needs to come forth, and this is exactly the way it's been done, and until we demand that, it will never happen. So I'm listed that for you. Your motion, should you decide to do this, should be to approve per staff recommendations, applicant proposal, you know, with their additional, and the additional conditions that you have listed here. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, how many minutes left?
5 minutes.
The petitioner got 2 minutes left?
Yep.
Yep. Do you care to do those 2 minutes at this time?
Here's my response to that is this. Come before the board, asking for an opportunity to develop a quality product on this property. This is one of the first developments that's been here in quite a few years. We are looking at bringing in a product that is at 350 plus on this site. As people add on, allow for upgrades on their site, their homes will be in excess of that, because that 350 is really just to get a base level, like going to buy a car, a base level car. You're coming in, giving the homeowner the opportunity to craft their home in the way that they want. At the end of the day, if we price the homes too high, nobody's going to buy them. You're going to have what we used to call them, the sticks in the ground all day, where you drive by and there's nothing there because nobody can afford to buy the home. We don't know what this market is getting ready to do, but what we do know is right now we're in the sweet spot of the market at 350, between that $300,000 and $400,000 price point. The upgrades that he is suggesting is going to put us well over that. This is a very challenging site to develop. The developer is already, the builder is already concerned about the stream crossings and the expense that it's going to add. These units are already going to be at the higher end, we believe, of the market in this particular location. And so we're building a quality product that is a step up from some of the surrounding communities. We believe that the price point, and we cannot just do things because we like it and pray that they come. We've got to do it in a manner that we know that they will come. And we believe that the product that we're asking for and we're putting forth, that they will come in that price point. What he is asking for is going to send that price point soaring through the roof. And we don't believe that we have enough homes. When the higher the price point, the fewer people that can buy this home. So you're taking out teachers, you're taking out people who work here in this community, and not being able to allow them to buy the homes that we are proposing. Height bar. Keep going. Things get on.
Only has 5 minutes left. You have to give me those 5 minutes.
6.
I'll use a couple. If you physically go to this location, put your tennis shoes on or your hiking boots, you can walk less than a mile across the county line to Fayette County, and you will see homes that are far more than this. They're all brick all the way around, multiple square foot, tons of amenities, and that's just normal. Again, if you go another half a mile where they're building the newer homes, those have the same qualities, and there is no problem whatsoever of having those homes being sold. If you build it, they will come. I want you to go, and if you got your phone or whatever, you can pull it up. You will see no 3- or 4-sided newer homes in all of District 5, 6, and 7, almost essentially. They're the older ones that were there a long time ago. We don't have that product. And as long as we continue not to bring that product in, we're going to continue to stay at the same lower level that we are, and we'll never be able to compete with those around. It kills you. When you don't have diversity, it hurts what's in your stores. It hurts what kind of stores come. It hurts your educational system. It hurts your school stores. This is not outrageous. All is less than half that I'm requesting have that. Less than half. Side and regards, 25%. Some of these things, first level hardwood floors, we could have taken a whole house. That's what it should have been. But we're only saying first level. We're giving things in here. Trim, that's no big thing. I didn't say the fancy molding in there, which hopefully that would happen in there, but you've got to have some trim along the roof and the floor to have some character to your home. I don't get it. I don't think this is out of line in any shape, fashion, form, manner, or mechanism. It'll show the diversity that you can have so that if you had someone that had a level of income here, you could also have a level of income here. And that shows your diversity in your community.
Thank you, sir. It's time to entertain a motion to close public comment. So moved. Probably moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, staff, can you call the roll vote, please?
Mr. Rodney Hadley.
Aye.
Mr. Keith Perry.
Aye.
Reverend Shannon Jones.
Aye.
Ms. Paulette Devon.
Thank you. Public comment is now closed. I will open it up for questions to the commissioners. Commissioner Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Questions. So you are gonna offer the 2 and 3 sided or 3 and 4 sided brick homes.
Correct.
What's the difference in price between the 1 sided with the water table and the 3 sided?
I would be speculating. I know that in my discussions with DRB, that those homes would definitely be over $400,000. And that was not the price range they were looking at on the homes here. Adding the brick water table is going to push it up a little bit past the 350, but we believe that that's a good starting price. Remember that we're in a market that's going to continue, we believe, to increase. So by the time these homes come online in 2024, that the price point may in fact be over 400 based on where inflation is taking.
I think
That's a good point. That's the inflation.
right.
I got that, but it's still a higher price point, which means that fewer people are again able to buy that. The average police officer, the average
That's a concern of the developer.
So
Well,
the chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
I think that, in the last meeting, I kind of said the same thing. This is a community that has had a lack of quality for decades. And so all that I think that they're trying to ensure is that they get some kind of guarantee that what's to come is going to be at a certain level. If you're going to build 3 or 4 side brick homes, you're already planning to spec some of those homes and build those showrooms. Right? So I think isn't there a percentage that you will feel comfortable with saying that this percentage we will have this way? Because he's absolutely right. If you build 1-sided, just brick fronts, that's the crowd that's going to come. You're not going to get people come and say, "Oh, I want a 4-sided brick home," in a community that's just showing it's going to be all 1-sided bricks. If I know I'm coming and I know there's a certain percentage that are going to be of this quality, then I'm interested. So isn't there a number that you can feel comfortable with that we could put in writing to say a minimum of these lots would be 3 or 4-sided bricks?
I think that it would be difficult for me to give that to you this evening. If you all wanted to approve it based on the percentages you thought was reasonable, I can certainly take that back to my client. We offered the addition of the brick water table as a sign that we are committed to doing a quality product. They had no problem giving that, but we also don't want to put ourselves where we price ourselves out of the market. But if you're looking at, again, you all have the ability to approve what you want to approve with whatever conditions. We want to build a quality product. You're saying to me, Michelle, 25% of these we want to be, a 3 or 4-sided brick. That may be what we have to live with. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we can sell the home. Trust me, if they could sell 3 or 4-sided brick homes there, they will sell them. It's not that they don't want to sell them. They want to sell them. They would be happy to sell the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely, they want to sell it, but I think just like you have to build it and get the clientele that you want to come. So my last statement is, if we could get a minimum of 3 or 4-sided, and I'm concerned with the exterior, and a deck or a patio could be included in the conditions, I think I would be in favor.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Attorney Battle, quality perhaps would be the eye of the beholder. It's kind of like the lady that asking her toothless husband is the answer. To you, he is. Listening to the public, and we're in the middle of all this inflation and they're working now to try to adjust that. I just don't think that what the public is asking for in terms of the public comment that we received today is unreasonable. But you guys are looking at the numbers. Well, but what we have to do is we have to make sure that we're building a South Fulton that takes us into the future of where we want to be and makes us as competitive with other cities such as Fayetteville, such as Peachtree City. And this is your opportunity to find the sweet spot with the public, with the community. And I'd be interested in knowing what the community meetings, how that went. But I don't think it's unreasonable.
I would say this. I do a lot of zoning in a lot of places. And I always find it interesting. And trust me, when I was growing up, my father was very clear. Buy a four-sided brick home. That's what he built for us. And at the end of the day, there are many who feel like if it's brick, it's the best. That's what people want. That's what shows the best quality. I can also take you to communities throughout the metro Atlanta area that are four-sided hardy plank craftsman style homes that are selling for $800 million homes as well. It's all about what people like. Some people want to spend their money on the interior. Some people want to spend their money on the exterior. People have a diversity of likes and dislikes and choices. What's great to one person may not be great to the other. I don't think that the simply putting the brick on it makes it a better product, but I understand as well that there are many people who feel that if that house is 3 or 4-sided brick, it's going to sell better, it's going to be better, it's going to show better for our community. I have no problem taking back to the applicant that you all, to the extent that you're willing to approve it with a condition concerning the amount of brick, it is what it is. And all I can say is I don't want it always to be assumed that if it's brick, that's better than if it's a 4-sided craftsman style home, because that type of home hasn't also necessarily been prevalent in the communities either. They're building those throughout, if you want to go that north side, south side kind of moment, they build them all over. They're building them in Kirkwood, they're building them in Alpharetta, they're building them in city of Atlanta. Craftsman style homes are very, very popular. And in many spaces, those are selling better than 3 and 4-sided brick homes. I've seen some fairly ugly 3 and 4-sided brick homes. So, it's all about people's preferences. And I hear what you all are saying, which is in this particular community, you feel that having that brick home is going to be what is really going to be the mark and the difference, because you've seen that in some other spaces around here. I just hope that at some point there'll be a diversity of project, and maybe you'll get and feel comfortable with that craftsman style home that actually sells at those higher price points as well. I just hope that it's not, if it's not brick, it's not good.
We'll get there. The big bad roof could blow down, right? So,
Well, like I said, my father was very clear about what I was supposed to have.
but I think we're moving in the right direction, because we had some issues with this property before, and there were chock full of concerns, and I think we're narrowing those concerns. And I would like to agree with Commissioner Perry that if we could find the sweet spot here, that tonight, and we go back.
Right, and I'll go back and talk to.
I'd be willing to support it as well. But I'd be willing to support it based on the fact that we do find that sweet spot, and that we look at what they're requesting and we say this is not unreasonable. But let's keep meeting and let's find where the median is, where that sweet spot is.
We have no problem.
21 homes, or is it 18 homes? Is it 40 houses, or is it 33 houses?
Understood.
There were several factors or elements outside of the brick that was brought up by the resident. So we don't want to misconstrue the point that he was making. All of the factors add to the quality of the home, not just the brick. So I think there should be definitely consideration to all components that were made.
I know.
These homes will have patios and decks.
I don't have that stated to me because it wasn't asked before, but I would assume, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about the patio, but probably the deck, yeah.
Okay. There are a couple of issues, as you know, that the community have with this property. First of all, it's a property that's very, how can you say, it? It's wetland. It's challenging, as you stated
It is.
yourself. Went from, initially, it was over 100 homes, down to 95, now we're at 85. What type of retaining walls are going to be built on the homes that are going to be back of that lake that separates that development from the Lake Royale subdivision and that property itself?
I have not been told of any retaining walls. We have not asked for any. We've not asked with regards to, put this site plan back up. With regards to the impervious and the buffer as well as the spring buffer, we're not encroaching into that. I've not been made aware of any retaining walls that would be necessary, but we could certainly ask the engineer between now and city council.
The reason I asked that question is, as you know, the Lake Royale subdivision is too built on wetland. And there is a lot of land erosion that is taking place in that subdivision today. And for that fear factor of those homes that sit just on the other side of that water, we would definitely like to see it shored up so that wouldn't happen to that development. You know, the other thing too was the electrical grid. There was some concerns about that, and we're moving. I think you say that they're going to 240 volts into the house,
Right.
so
Well,
that they can have a charging station within the house itself.
Correct. And so they will have to work with the power company, and we've already indicated that they've been out to the site. I think
And
that's
so
been,
that's approved. The power company said that would be that 240.
I don't know if that has been discussed with them, but obviously in order to be able to provide that, they may have to have a rate service in that area, which couldn't hurt anybody.
No, it
based on-
wouldn't, because
based on
we
what
know
you all
that in
said.
that area, power goes out just when wind
Correct.
blows out.
Correct.
So that was one of the concerns as well. The other one was traffic, of course. The Seda Road and Seda Drive is just 2 lanes, one way, you know, very narrow roads. And you're going to put these sail lanes in, and put turning lanes in.
Correct.
Again, with this type of development, you're talking about the schools, the children going to school and so forth. It is going to create a traffic jam there. There is no, the light is at Old National, the next light is at 314. And people are now using that road, the Seda Road, just to alleviate themselves of the traffic off of Old National and 314. So that's going to be a high traffic issue in that area. I also wanted to read this that was in the material that was provided to us about the pumping station. That was one of my main concerns, that the pumping station handled this development. And I did see a letter from, I guess, an engineer stating that it could, and with some, there was some calculations put on the letter. But it says, since this is a privately owned sanitary sewer pump station, it will be the responsibility of the developer to provide a written agreement with the maintainer of this private Lake Royale subdivision sanitary sewer pump station. Has that been provided?
It's my understanding that there was a conversation between the city and the engineer with regards to that, and that there was communication that was provided. I thought that we had turned that in. I don't have that. I don't know that I have that right with me now, but my understanding was that there was no issue with the pump station and with the usage of it. I am not aware of any private agreement that has been entered into with regards to that, but obviously we would not be able to move forward with the project until we were able to show the city that we have that agreement.
Right, and it's here in the documents. That's why I
Right.
keep bringing it up.
So that is something that they would have to get.
All right,
No question about that.
let's see, one other thing, yeah, again, the right ways, you said, I think it's like 80 feet.
Bethsaida Road will be widened to 80 along the frontage, and then Bethsaida Drive is a 60-foot right of way, and we have both the left turn lane in and the decel lane. That is what the traffic department indicated in the staff report will be a requirement, and staff put those into the conditions. So we are doing what we
So
did
are
now.
you actually widening Bethsaida Road and Bethsaida Drive?
We are doing whatever the traffic department tells us we're supposed to do, and what I know is that we will have to dedicate 40 feet from center line, and we will have to install the decel lane and the XL lane, the decel lane and the left turn lane in front. That may require the taper, so that may require some additional widening as you go down the road in order to be able to install those. I don't know that they will have to install along the entire frontage, but we don't have a tremendous amount of frontage. So if you're asking, are we widening the road all the way down to Bethsaida? No. We don't have that much right of way, but we may have to do some widening based on where the taper is. In order to ensure that the left turn lane has enough stacking.
The stormwater management areas that you have there, who's going to maintain those?
I believe that would be the responsibility of HOA.
It'll be the responsibility of the HOA. I'll tell you, one of the concerns I have with managing stormwater areas. Oftentimes they grow trees, flowers, they're not maintained, you know? And you stated that that would be the responsibility of the HOA.
So the HOA, it will be a mandatory HOA. They will have to pay mandatory dues. Part of their responsibility will be the maintenance of those ponds. I believe in the city, like in every other jurisdiction, they're required to sign a sewer maintenance agreement that requires them to maintain it and have it inspected, I believe, on an annual basis. As she's shaking her head, and they have to have it to show that it's being properly maintained. So it's not something that just, you know, you build it and then everybody forgets about it. They have an obligation to maintain it, and the city is responsible for making sure that that maintenance agreement is upheld. Some cities certainly take over, but I don't believe the city has the capacity to actually maintain all of the detention ponds, but you gotta have them.
Yeah, you have to have it.
You have to have
You know, in surrounding communities in that area, they have been overgrown. And to the point.
Are they mandatory homeowner associations?
Mandatory homeowner associations, and to the point where there are people that live actually near those areas. They have all types of things. They got pets that they don't want, let me say that. So, but I was just curious as to who they maintain. One last thing for me is that I do know that around the corner that sits in the Tri-City area, you have Clayton, you have Fayette, and you have South Fulton. Fayette, not far away down 314, they are building 4 brick-sided homes, $500,000, and they are selling like hotcakes. You know, Clayton County is doing the same thing. So again, you can't tell a developer what to do, because I said it the last time and I'm gonna say it this time. Developers develop property, and once they develop it, they're gone. And the responsibility and the onus falls solely on that community. And I don't think that we look down the line enough, 3 to 5 years, 10, maybe 10 years down the line, as to what will happen with those communities when the developer is long gone, building other sites and so forth. That's something that I think that, and there's nothing against the developer, but there's something I think that as a city, we have really got to start to take note of. Is there any other questions from the board?
I just want to make sure that pending approval, that these concerns that we're raising, the community raised, that council knows that these are really definite concerns, and that we just willy-nilly set this up. But this study heard that.
agree, sir. So with that being said, I'll entertain a motion at this time. Mr. Chair. I'm sorry.
Oh, just a point of order. I think I failed to introduce myself at the beginning. I just wanted to put it on record of Michael Venable, Old National Police District Six, City of South Venable.
Staff, is that on the call?
I've got it on the card.
Thank you for that. I meant to say that, but I got.
Okay.
We'll open up the floor for a motion on this case.
Are we ready? to make a decision? Come back. See what comes back.
Well, with that question we are asking that meeting, and I'm not swaying one way or the other. You have to put a motion on the floor. You can deny, defer, or approve. So that's the way the motion is going, and that's up to the voting board.
Mr. Chairman, how many times have we deferred?
At least two, I know at least twice.
We would
Maybe
prefer
been three.
I'm sorry, we would prefer to obviously have a decision.
Well, of course, we're going.
So, I'm saying to move
Twice.
forward.
Right.
Right.
I believe it's been twice. and I
Twice.
haven't-
I know it's twice. I know it's twice. Okay. So once again, there, I will entertain the motion on the floor. I know it's hard, guys, but that's not all stupid ones.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I want to make a motion. I'll make a motion that we approve with staff recommendation and with the addition that 35 homes minimum will be constructed with 3 or 4 sides brick, that all homes should have a patio or deck minimum.
Motion. Is there a second?
I'm almost on a second. But I'm sorry, point of order, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Because I was talking about that sweet spot, and I wanted them to do that, so thank you for that. But I think I think that it was almost sage wisdom from the community when they asked for an approval of staff recommendations, as well as the applicant proposal and the additional concerns that the community had brought. I think that was more comprehensive, and and then we work out what that sweet spot is. Council to give the staff.
I think we still have a motion on the floor.
I would like to withdraw my motion.
Motion has been withdrawn. We still need to entertain a motion on this case. First of all, with that motion being withdrawn, Mr. Attorney, you have to vote on that withdrawal motion.
No, sir.
No, sir. Thank you. I would like to entertain the motion.
Commissioner Hadley, I'd like to make a motion to defer and allow you to come back and provide us with that sweet spot, considering the recommendations that the residents have made. All of the factors that the residents have made, including the interior as well as the exterior.
That motion's been properly moved to second. Any further discussion?
I'll just say, we do this, please address everything here, line by line, and so we can next time push it one way or the other.
I think you're either.
I haven't seen you all go into such detail on interiors. I just think that that's a bridge too far, but I will certainly take it back.
Bridge too far is the word of the day.
But
but I think you're in a pivotal place here. If you can go back and do this and meet with the community, you're either ready to take off or you're ready to fall down. Go either way. I would that you saw.
While we're in discussion, I also like to add too that not just the interior aspect of it too, but the retaining walls and things of that nature too, which is infrastructure. We want some action on that too, to show up properties, to prevent erosion and so forth. I think that needs to be addressed. So with that said, being said, if there not any further discussion,
Can we, if they do that, can we have staff, we can get this next week?
well, we're voting on a deferral. So
If we defer,
well, the motion is to defer, so we have to take a vote.
We'll come back to your next meeting.
So, we're still in discussion.
We're still in discussion before we take a vote.
I'm just asking that you move away from exterior or interior and understand what we're looking for, what we're asking for. And if you understand what we're looking for as it relates to the city of South Wilson, then you'll understand what we're talking about here.
Staff, can you call the roll vote, please?
Mr. Rodney Haslett,
Aye.
Mr. Keith Perry,
Aye.
Reverend Shannon Jones,
aye.
Ms. Paulette Devon. That motion passes.
Is there a second?
So
It was
staff
seconded.
and that motion carries to defer to the next planning board. All right, thank you very much. We now hear case Z22-001. Staff, if we could, please.
So this one is the PDF one.
For Michelle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no. So my present. Yeah. Okay, so our next case is Z22-001. It is for a rezoning on Wilkerson Mill and Photo Road, and staff is recommending approval with conditions. So the site is currently zoned AG1. The applicant would like to rezone to CUP to construct 312 single-family homes. The future land use is rural neighborhood, and it allows 2 units per acre. So this site is large, but it's in compliance with the future land use. Next slide. So as you can see, the current site is zoned AG1. It's adjacent to the city of Palmetto. And the future land use, as you can see, is rural neighborhood. Next slide, please. And this is their site plan. As you can see here at the intersection, they have an amenity area. They talked about perhaps doing some walking trails throughout the site. There are 2 pocket parks that they're proposing. And there is a stream that runs through the site, and the applicant is planning to comply with all of the South Fulton stream buffer standards. The applicant was able to provide us with some elevations. As you can see, they have a mixture of building materials. The goal here is to have different types of homes so that, you know, each one isn't exactly the same. More elevations. And I think that might conclude the report. Next slide. Yep, and that's the end of the report. Well, I put it on the first slide, but staff recommendation and approval with the conditions and staff.
I'm sorry. Not staff, but the conditions.
Yes, there are conditions in yours. And I can pull up the condition if that's.
You don't mind? Please.
So we got to go down. this the right one? No, this is Bethsaida. Oops. One more. Okay, so these are the staff conditions. Here we go. And did you have questions on them, or did you want me to just go through the whole thing?
Let's just run through it.
Okay, so we're recommending the 312 units at 2 units per acre because that is part of the future land use plan. And the future land use for rural neighborhood allows 1 to 2 units per acre. It's normally customary for us to make the applicant abide by the site plan that we receive because staff across multiple departments have looked at the site plan. And that also means that if the applicant wanted to come back and do something different, they would have to go before council and ask for modification. These are the minimum setbacks are information that we got from the applicant. As you all know, community unit plan is like, if you're familiar with the city of Atlanta, or some other jurisdictions called it a PUD. It's called planned unit development. We call it community unit plan. And so basically what that means is that this is a type of development that's based on a master plan. And so staff will work with the developers to create setbacks and lot areas and things that fit their vision, but that also fit the future land use plan. So that's where the information on the setbacks came from. If I scroll down a little bit, sorry, I'm used to doing this from home on my desk, so. So the traffic and right-of-way requirements came from our traffic engineer. We have pre-application meetings with all developments before we even write reports on them. And we have a traffic engineer that we contract with from Jacobs. And so after we get the final application and after we get the final letter of intent and site plan, we send that out to different departments. And so these conditions came from the traffic engineer who took a look at the site plan and made these recommendations that will have to be included in the development when they do their roads and whatnot. Scrolling down a little bit more.
Did they say what those recommendations were?
Excuse me?
Did they say what they were?
Oh, yes, sir. So I'll go back up. So those are included here in the staff report in item 4. So the development can have 1 curb cut on Wilkerson and 2 curb cuts on Ono. The curb cuts have to meet site distance. So site distance means that if I drive to the edge of the subdivision and I look to the right or the left, I need to be able to see a certain amount of distance down the road so that I can time my turn, so that I don't get into a car accident. Sidewalks are required on Wilkerson Mill and Ono Road and along the internal streets of the subdivision. So I know that there isn't currently development on Wilkerson Mill or Ono Road that the sidewalks connect to. But the idea is that different properties change and grow over time. And so eventually the sidewalks, they connect to something. And we just kind of want to go ahead and have some of that infrastructure already in place because it'll be less effort in the future to connect the sidewalks. And I think for a development of this size, it's normally customary to encourage sidewalks inside of the development. So like if I wanted to walk walk my dog or go to the pocket park or something like that, then I want to have a sidewalk instead of having to walk on the street. It's just safer. What else did he say? He said that traffic calming would be required. So traffic calming means like maybe a speed bump or a vanity table, or one of those roads where there's a tree island in the middle of it and it curves. And the goal there is just kind of to prevent speeding and to make it safer if there's like a kid on a bike that's not paying attention, or like a kid in the street playing football, like kids tend to do in these types of subdivisions. We want to have traffic calming measures so that, you know, everyone is safer. The traffic calming measures will actually come from our code of ordinances. We have recommendations for traffic calming. What else did we say? A decel lane and a left turn lane on Wilkerson Mill. That's just so that people can get in and out of the subdivision safely. And then they're required to dedicate some right of way. So that just basically means that I own the property up to the street frontage, and they have to like give or donate a certain portion of that to the city, and that will become part of the road improvements that are maintained by the city as part of the city road. And so that's normally how we get the land for the turn lanes and things like that. So, do you guys have any more questions on the traffic? I'm not a traffic engineer myself, but I work closely with one for these projects. And so these are recommendations that we were provided. Okay, so the next one. So as I showed you earlier, do you still want to go through all the conditions? Okay. So yeah, on this one, staff is recommending approval with staff conditions. Yes.
A second.
Probably move the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, staff, please call the roll, please.
Mr. Rodney Hadley.
Aye.
Mr. Keith Perry.
Aye.
Reverend Shannon Jones.
Aye.
Ms. Paulette Devon. That motion passes.
We are now in the public comment. You will hear from us.
Battle law. 2562 Average Emmett, North Lake. We're extremely excited about this project with Pulte. We have representatives are here with us tonight, as well as John Palmer from Falcon Design. We are here to present this evening for the 312 single-family detached homes, which will be priced from the mid-400s to the high 500s. It will be luxury design studio experience for personalized kitchens, bathrooms, interactive floor plans, highly amenitized neighborhood with clubhouse or outdoor pool, playground, dog park, variety of house styles for families and empty nesters. 65 acres of this site will actually be preserved as open space, and we can go to the next slide. You can see here we have 156.11 acres. We're right near the intersection, actually at the intersection of Ono and Wilkerson Mill. This is near the city of Palmetto, where there's been a lot of recent development that is occurring there and approvals on that side. So this is really kind of a sweet spot where development is beginning to surge in the area. We are looking here at having our primary access off of Ono Road, as well as the entrance that we show here off of Wilkerson. When you come into the community, there'll be the clubhouse, the pool, and the playground area near the front, along with a walking trail. We've tried to make the road so that it's not just a straight shot, so it kind of meanders a bit in order to assist with the traffic calming. You can see here that we have streets that are coming off of that main spine road that runs through the community, where in between are the areas where the stream crosses through. And so we've got green space that is preserved there, and in the one area off, we've got walking trails, which is highlighted by the dotted black line there. As we move up into the community, you can also see where the lake is at. There's a pocket park over in that area where the trail connects into. And then the lake is also a feature that is located technically on our site. And so that will be there for people to be able to walk around the exterior of the lake area. And then we move towards the top portion of the site where, again, we've got the proposed dog park and open space areas in that area as well. This property surrounds the cemetery on the other side. We are not in any way encroaching or interfering with the cemetery. It will continue to be maintained and preserved there by the organization that takes care of it now. And then we have another exit point a little further up off of Ono Road. We'll go to the next slide. Again, this is just the site. I want to keep it moving only because we've got a slide that I do want to present. You can see here that our property actually abuts a more of an industrial site off to the side. We are zoned AG1. We are in the rural neighborhood and our density is consistent with rural neighborhood. Again, you can see here the lake, the cemetery, the clubhouse, and the pool. We are preserving all of the stream buffers and the impervious setback. We're not encroaching into that. This is an example of the clubhouse. Just keep strolling on through all those. There you go. Playground. These are some of the elevations that are being proposed. We'll have both single family, and if we can click on that. Might have to click off the. Can I get a pause while she has it? Can I get a pause at a time?
She just wanted to pause.
Can I get a pause at a time? Okay, there you go. If we can click off the ad, skip ad. Might be able to make it. There we go. All right, and this is some information on the interior, so you can see what is being proposed by folks.
This is the developer's website.
Yes, and this is some of the homes that will be displayed within the community. We have both two-story and single-family homes, one-story homes, which is really great because there are a lot of people who are 55 and older. I don't know if I'm seeing, that's me. 55 and older that will be able to live within this community and live in a ranch-style home, which is very accommodating to those who are getting a more senior year. And also two-story homes, which may be more accommodating to families.
That conclude?
She wants us to see the whole thing.
It's almost over.
I think we send it up.
All right.
Was there anything else you need to add outside the video?
If we can go to the next slide, these are our typical entrances. When we look at quality and sustainability, Pulte is at the top of the pack. We believe that they incorporate energy efficient practices and green products into all of their new communities. Pulte homes are up to 30% more energy efficient than the average resale homes that you have out in the market now. We'll go to the next slide. You can see here, our unit sizes will be between 1,500 to 3,300 square feet, 2 to 5 bedrooms, depending on the style of house that the homeowner picks out. 2-car garage minimum. We will have a clubhouse, pool, playground, dog park, mail kiosks throughout. While we won't be a gated community, we will have security cameras in the community. The price points will be between 450 up as high as 600. Based on the price points that we were looking at. Date of the first units would be the 4th quarter of 2022. We're looking to sell to young families and empty nesters. And we are actually willing to agree to a rental cap in order to make sure that this community is what it says it is. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Now, is there anyone that will speak in favor of this petition?
We have no other cards speaking in favor.
All right. Do we have any speaking against?
Yes, sir. We've got 4 cards speaking in opposition.
Okay, we will hear from them at this time.
Good evening. My name is Samuel James. I am in the Wilkinson Mill subdivision, District 4. As you look at this plan here, 312 lots off of Ono Road and Wilkinson Mill, Wilkinson Mill Road. Ono Road is a 2-lane street. 2-lane country street. Let me just say that. Wilkinson Mill is a 2-lane country street. And 300 homes, the density, the capacity of those roads will not handle that. It will not handle that. Not only that, you're looking at, I'm sorry, if I can just, you're looking at warehouses, 3 million square feet warehouses right off of exit 29 where trucks access this road and Ono Road to get to those warehouses. A project of this size and this magnitude without widening Ono Road or Wilkinson Mill Road, it just won't work. It won't work. I don't care what traffic study you get, unless you live in that community, and this backs up right to our community right here. Is anyone can go back to number 6 on their plan there? No, go back one more. Yeah, that's the area there. Okay. If you can see here, Wilkinson Mill, that's our subdivision right there. You have a warehouse here, warehouse there. There's a warehouse over there that Google Maps hasn't picked up yet that's being built. There's also a warehouse that's being built right here next to the park, Wilkinson Mill Park. There's another 1 million square foot warehouse being built there. Trucks access this from 29 Wilkinson Mill Road from Highway 29 all the time. It's really becoming a hazard. Not only that, which you probably don't know, there is another development coming right here. 600, over 600 homes. 800, okay, all right. That are coming right here. There's no plan to widen these roads, and you're adding another 300 single-family homes. Average car for a single-family home cars is 1.8, so you're looking at over 500 cars just for this project alone on a 2-lane street, on 2-lane streets. And the access to the community, the Wilkinson Mill community especially, is being affected by that. Not only that, with the warehouses that are there, this whole area is being affected by that. So, and also, I guess the final note, I guess to say, this really wasn't advertised. I came out of my house today and saw a sign. This sign right here about tonight's meeting. This was the first time that I saw this. I take this road every day. My wife takes this road to drive my child to school, and she takes this road to go to work. This is the first time that I'm seeing this sign up here. The first time that I'm seeing it. It wasn't here yesterday. It was not here yesterday, because if it was, I would have inquired about it. So I think there's something with the advertising, or I don't know who checks these to make sure that it's still there and that it's still being advertised to the community, but there's something wrong with this. Thank you.
5 minutes and 40 seconds.
We got 5 minutes.
All right. This is my first time being here, so I don't know how these usually go or what people talk about or what they got to say. So I took a few notes as we went. I'll try to be quick. My family moved here to this community on purpose to be out in the country, to live out in the rural life and live on a farm and have some acreage and do our thing. And we've got a lot of livestock. We got some chickens, we got turkeys, we got guineas, we got ducks, we got bees, goats, pigs, and cows. And that's what we like to live that life. And I don't want to see a whole lot of extra density coming out our way and kind of messing all that up for us. I know that's kind of a selfish way to look at it, but that's just, where I'm coming from. And we live on a road of got, I don't know, what is there, like 20 homes on the road. And we're going to add how many? And then 800 over here, 300 over here. There's 4 or 5 neighborhoods in our area just that's coming. That's way too many. So I'm concerned about the traffic. We went to a town hall meeting recently at Arlington where the complaints from the neighborhoods that were there, because I'm not from a neighborhood life, but the neighbors that were there talking about their neighborhoods, complaining about too many cars in their neighborhoods and they can't park, and overcrowded schools and length of time it takes for the police to respond. I don't want all that added to my road in my area. So I think we got too many new neighborhoods planned for our area without consideration, all of them in totality coming together. I know I can't stop them, and prevent everybody from coming in, but at least, my goal would be have the fewest amount of people coming and the biggest buffer I can in between everybody's neighborhoods and the properties and everything, and the least amount of retention ponds around that nobody's gonna maintain and animals that I don't want. So there's what I got to say.
Brian O'Donnell, 7270 Ono Road. Appreciate the time tonight. We're just north of this project. We just recently moved here. Development's coming. It's coming. We're not going to stop this. However, we can mold it the way we want. That's what we need to do. My issue with this is density, strictly density. If you want to put, I feel bad for your neighborhood. Look at the number of lots compared to one of yours. It's 3.5 lots to his. That's an issue. As we move north, they put on their map a easement road. I don't know whether they got the approval yet, but it comes right in at that circle, or right at that curve. That's going to be an issue. Just north of there, again, there's a Bear Creek bridge. I believe that's on the long-term SPLOST issue to be repaired. We're adding this before that's been done. Let's talk about the setbacks. We're out in the middle of nowhere. I wish you could come out and see our fields. But yet we're going to have setbacks of 5 feet. When you watch the ball game tomorrow night, the center from Purdue is going to be able to reach from one house to the other. Out in the middle of nowhere. Let's talk about the quality of the product. I couldn't agree more with the young lady when she said, let's not get into the brick issue. I agree with her. The difference is front side brick looks cheap. It's not so much that is brick better than hardy plank. It's the appearance and the style. Let's talk about honesty. It started at 1,500 square feet. But she showed you a floor plan from the Woodward in Peachtree City, I might add. She's selling you Peachtree City. But she's building in your neighborhoods and she's providing you something much less, let's say. That's advertised as 4 to 7 beds. Is that in her project? What she's got online? No, it's not there. You want to put a subdivision there? I say go for it. Make it side load garage. That provides your space between the homes. The setback needs to be a heck of a lot more than 50 feet. Who the heck wants to back up to a mass truck depot and with a 50-foot depot? Who's going to buy that? I live 1/10 of a mile north and I can see those lights from my house and it's fully wooded. These guys are going to have 50 feet. And last but not least, you have to look at a holistic period. 300 and some houses there. Across the street, Palmetto has already approved 841 units across the street. That includes apartments, townhomes, and single family. Has that been counted in the traffic study? Probably not. Just north of there, Bear Creek is already been approved by the city of Atlanta. That's another 640 homes. Has that been included in this study plan? I don't think so. I'm not opposed to a subdivision, but I think we need to defer this and improve upon this before we move forward. This is not the time. Thank you.
Now, how much time? Any more time? Now, any more time?
I move that we add 5 minutes to the time delay.
Yeah, how much time does the applicant have?
I think it's been a long day.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, we're gonna allow 2 minutes. We're gonna extend public comment 2 minutes. And how many more speakers? Did you speak? Yeah, I won't be long. Yeah. So we'll give you a minute, him a minute, this the applicant will have 2 minutes, and then we will end it right there. So please be quick.
My name is Wally. I live on Owner Road, 7210 Owner Road. Been there for about 12 years. If you've ever been on Owner Road, in our particular section, most of those houses are $1 million homes. Okay. We're competitive with Peachtree City, with Fayetteville, with Chattahoochee Hills, with Alpharetta, with Rossville. And I don't understand why in the world would we want to approve cut development, high density project development in a community like that? You have people that are moving here from the West Coast, from New York, and I mean, $600,000-$700,000 home in that area is no big deal. There is a market for a home in that particular area. But what we're getting is a project for the most part.
Here, it's been 1 minute.
1 minute is up, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for this opportunity tonight for a peaceful opportunity to talk about these pros and cons. My name's Jeff Jackson. My wife Jennifer and I live right here. This whole property right here. You would not believe the speeds that people travel up and down Ono Road. That curve right there is a death trap. And they're talking about putting an entrance right there. Sorry about that. And you just don't realize this picture. If you go down there and see it, you'll see that is it's death waiting. And these roads are just not set up. I mean, go down Wilkerson Mill. It's like riding out through the woods. It's just potholes. And they're talking about 800 homes here and however many right there. We just can't do it. And don't get us wrong. We're not against new growth and fresh growth, but we just don't feel like this is the right fit for us right now. And we just want you to hear that. And
It's been 1 minute.
that's good. That was it. Thank you so much.
We hear from the applicant.
I think the first thing, let's talk about traffic. We did submit to the staff a trip generation report as required. I'm very familiar with the project that is on in the city of Palmetto, as I represented the applicant with regards to that. We know that there are right-of-way improvements that are coming along Wilkerson Mill. Because of that project, it was a development of regional impact. And so there was an extensive study that was done of this corridor, particularly with regards to truck traffic and the like. And the city of Palmetto is working with the applicants from that particular matter to address the traffic along that corridor. With regards to this project, we did, as I indicate, provide that trip generation information And we are abiding by the traffic improvements that have been recommended by the city's transportation department. And so we believe that we have adequately addressed those particular issues. Is this an area, and I said that when I stepped up, this is an area that currently is being redeveloped. You're seeing both with the city and on this side, development that is coming, that is in alignment with, at least for the city of Palmetto, with their plan. And here, we are presenting a plan that is consistent with what the land use plan says, the comp plan says is appropriate for this area. We are not exceeding, we didn't come in here and ask for more than what is currently allowed. So we are within the concept of the land use plan. We are saving 65% of our site for open space. We've got the lake, we've got some environmental things that we're addressing there, but we believe that we have adequately addressed those, and we're preserving the environmentally sensitive areas as required by the city. In terms of the buffer on the other side, there are.
Thank you, Ms. Bell.
Other time, I just got 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's it, Ms. Bell. Thank you so much.
Our engineers here as well to answer any questions, particularly about the buffer.
At this time, I entertain a motion to close public comment. So moved. Second. Properly moved and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, staff, would you please call the vote?
Rodney Hadley. Mr. Keith Perry. Reverend Shannon Jones. Ms. Paulette Devon. That motion passes.
Public comment is now closed. We'll open the floor to the commissioners for any questions and comments. Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Just a question for staff. Is it true that, so the warehouse and the other developments that neighbors mentioned, those are not city of South Fulton, correct? Those are other cities or jurisdictions?
No, the 800 homes is Palmetto, and the warehouse is also in the city of Palmetto.
Okay.
If we go back a few slides.
Bear Creek is going to be South Fulton.
If you go back a few slides, you can see, there we go.
Sure.
There you go. And my presentation zooms out a little bit more, but South Fulton kind of sticks out.
It's the gold. South Fulton is the gold part.
You look on the HE1.
Yeah, so South Fulton is the green part.
Right.
And Palmetto is the beige part.
Okay.
Any other comments and questions from the board?
One more question. Have you engaged with the surrounding neighbors about this plan?
We did have a community meeting to discuss the project. I believe we had probably roughly 5 to 10 people that showed up to the meeting.
It was advertised properly.
We sent out notices, the city requires us to send notices out to all the residents within a pretty large geographic area now. It's actually, I think, a mile.
Chair recognizes Mr. Jones.
How did you notify them and how about
We have to send out, a postcard to all the residents. It's a fairly large postcard.
to all?
Says about, yes.
How long was that sign there?
I posted it last month.
No.
We don't post a sign.
That sign, did you put that sign there last month?
Yeah, I can tell you the date. It might be saved on my computer, but we took pictures of it and posted it last month. Put on the boots and got out in the dirt myself. February 24th.
February 24th
Yeah.
is when you put that sign there? And what was your meeting, Attorney Battle? And where was it?
We do also.
What was that?
She does Zoom meetings.
We also do.
They have 5 people on Zoom, so it could be a digital divide. Connectivity issues.
And we can certainly have another. That's not an issue.
Well,
I guess I'm interested to know, you seem to be familiar with the area.
Yes, ma'am.
What you're proposing, and it's not you, it's the investors. Are they saying what they're proposing is comparable to what is it, the homes that are in existence now? Currently there, that have been there for a while?
The homes that are in, I guess, the community, Wilkerson, we do believe that we are comparable to the homes that are developed in that community. Certainly in terms of price points that we're looking at there. When you're getting into the city of Palmetto, the area that is being developed now, it actually has been zoned commercially. So there were no homes immediately on that side of Wilkerson Mill Road. There were a few large tracts, what I would consider more farmland type tracts that were on that side.
Well, you said price point. I guess I'm looking at quality of homes, quality size. Not just price.
Right. I'm gonna ask Darren if he can flavor there.
So my name is Garrett Smith. I'm the Vice President of Land Acquisition for Quincy Group in Atlanta. Trying to call up the year built on those homes. I believe they're 06. They were built in 06.
And talking Wilkerson Mill, it's four-sided brick, everybody's going over me.
When were they built?
Yeah, 2006.
Yeah, the homes that we're building, I think someone made a comment that, that the plan that we showed is the same plan in, we're building in Peachtree City, and we're not gonna build that plan up here. That's not true. We're representing the same plan that we are building in Peachtree City. Will be the one that we build here.
So you're saying that video that was showed is the same video that you plan on building in this community?
Yeah, I'm saying the things we've represented in this slideshow, including the video, will be the quality of the home that we're going to build in this neighborhood. Things are changing, like as people have said, and this area is redeveloped. And the things that we said about this, the price point, and the things that we've shown in there, and the point that someone made about the particular home that they saw that we put in Peachtree City, that is the home we plan to build right here.
Well, my question is in reference to the quality of homes that are currently there, what you're trying to build.
Yes, ma'am. I mean,
are you representing what is currently there?
so you mean the same house that he has?
No, not the same house. I'm saying quality.
The same quality of the house.
He's got the same quality home that we're building in Peachtree City. Actually, the exact same home. So
He's not talking about Peachtree. She's talking about his.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have not been to his home. I can't verify that his home is going to be the same as
The question is not his home, surrounding your existing homes there.
Well, sir, I guess what I'm saying is, if I've represented that my homes are going to be from the mid-4s to the 6s, then I think I'm saying that I'm building a very high quality home.
All right, sir. So with that being said, is there any other thing you guys need to add? We definitely need to move forward. Any more questions from the board? Okay, thank you very much. With that being said, I'll entertain the motion.
Defer.
Basis.
For 3 reasons. I think one, the interaction with the community is lacking. And I think that what we'll see tonight is that there's a strong desire for the community to be represented in the plans that they're putting forward. And I'm not comfortable that has been done yet. So I think at least taking a time out for them to interact with the community, address those community concerns, will be well worth the time to take it back up on the next time. And the second thing is, the traffic, and I guess it's a question for staff. You know, when we first saw the development, in the beginning, I thought it was good. I wasn't aware of all the pending construction that's going around in that area. I want to make sure that the traffic plans that we have is taking into consideration all of the development that's going to be in that area.
Thank you, sir.
So for those reasons, that motion for
Motion to defer, is there a second?
So this is our last case tonight. The applicant is still working on their site plan and they asked for a deferral and staff is recommending deferral. And we can see I have a report if you'd like it, or we can defer it as staff recommends.
I entertain a motion.
that we defer.
Is there a second? Probably won't say any discussion. Hearing none, staff, please go.
Rodney Hadley, Keith Perry, Shannon Jones, Paulette Devon. That motion passes.
Now we come to the most important agenda, line item on the agenda today, and that's adjournment. To adjourn.
I like to say one thing.
I do too.
Make a motion to
We've
adjourn.
been together for 2 years, and, no, I second that.
Okay, Rodney Hadley,
Aye.
Keith Perry, Shannon Jones,
Aye.
Paulette Devon. That motion passes.
Don't everybody just run up.
I was in, I hurt my leg. I had to crawl, it took me about 20 minutes to get from the parking lot into the door.